Now 2024 has got off to a great start as far as running shoe reviews are concerned. We're only halfway through the year and already I've tested and reviewed 27 different pairs of shoes from a big mix of different running brands. A lot of them have run really well. I've been super happy with the performance, but we have had a few duds along the way. Now, I'm fully aware that running shoe choice is a very, very personal thing, and you know, what doesn't work for me could be the best shoe you've ever run in. But in today's video, we are taking a look at my top 3 most disappointing trail running shoes of the year so far. Welcome back everyone, or if you're new to the channel then welcome. It's great to have you along and I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run4Adventure, your friendly, informative, running related YouTube channel. Now we always want this place to be a place of positivity, you know, a channel you can come to watch enjoyable content, maybe get inspired to get out there running or hit the trails for the first time, or even take on your next big adventure. So I'm not a fan of making content with a negative topic, but I also think it's important to tell you guys all about the shoes that, you know, haven't worked out well for me, they haven't performed, because then maybe you can avoid them and not end up disappointed like I have. So without further ado, let's jump into the first shoe on the list, and it is Innovate's Trailfly Speed. The Innovate brand really shook things up at the beginning of the year with a complete rebranding, a new logo, and a completely new range of trail running shoes using new materials, new compounds, and having a new foot-shaped anatomical fit. The first shoe from that new range that I tested out was the standard Trailfly. I had a great first run in that shoe, really enjoyed the performance, fit and feel, and the more and more miles I've put in it, the more I've enjoyed it. And in my humble opinion, I think it's probably the best all-round trail shoe that the Innovate brand has ever made. Well, it is for me anyway, so you can imagine I was all excited to test out its faster little brother, the Trailfly Speed. Unfortunately, things didn't go as well on my first run in these, and I don't really understand this shoe. I don't really understand what it's designed for. So on the Innovate website, they say it's the lighter, more responsive, quicker shoe for those quick training runs, so your intervals and tempos, or for race day. But that doesn't really make sense because my pair in a UK 10 tips the scales at a pretty hefty 301 grams. And you know, that's a lot of weight to carry in a shoe that's been built for faster training or race day. With this being the more stripped back version of the Trailfly, you obviously get a lot less cushioning in that midsole. So it sits you closer to the ground so you feel more connected to the trails. And I definitely felt well connected, but maybe a little bit too connected to the trails, because when I was running on rocky or stony trails, I literally felt every rock and every stone through this midsole, and that's even with a pair of the brilliant boomerang footbeds in the shoe. So yes, I felt connected, but it wasn't that comfortable and didn't offer a lot of underfoot protection. I've actually got the standard fit in the Trailfly Speed, and there is a width option available, but I still think it was quite a bit too wide for my foot shape. Now, I understand foot shape and fit of shoes is a very personal thing, but I really did struggle to get this locking down around my midfoot, even when I pulled those laces down super tight. And speaking of laces, they are crazy long in this shoe. I had to quadruple tie them to stop them flapping around all over the place. But yeah, I just couldn't get a good lockdown around my midfoot. So I did have a lot of sort of movement and slippage within that upper, which is never a great thing in a trail running shoe, especially one that's been built for running quickly. And last but not least, they did feel a little bit slappy when I was out there running. And by that I mean, it was more like I was sort of running in a pair of flippers than a pair of trail running shoes. Now, I know it's got a 4mm heel to toe offset, but for me it did feel a bit more like a zero drop shoe, and I've never really got on with that setup in my running shoes. And I know, again, that's a personal thing, and there's lots of runners out there that love a zero drop shoe, but it's just not for me. So you can see, maybe not the best option for me when it comes to my foot shape or the things that I sort of look for in my trail running shoes. Next up is a shoe from Nike, and in true Nike style, it was really overhyped, and you'd think I'd have learnt by now with all the disappointments over the years from the Nike Trail department, but it is their new Zigama Trail 2. Now apparently this is the most tested Nike Trail shoe of all time, with thousands and thousands of miles being run in them through that development phase. So it really does make you wonder how they got it so wrong. The brand claim that the Zigama 2s have been designed to conquer steep ridges, jagged rocks and race day, and yep, that is the description for this shoe on the Nike website. I actually took the previous version, the original Zigamas, out to the mountains of Chamonix to give them a thorough testing, and believe it or not, I was running on steep ridges and jagged rocks, and they were pretty terrible if I'm honest. The shoe felt very unstable in that midsole, to the point where I nearly went over on my ankle several times, and I was just happy to get back to the adventure bus in one piece. So I hear you all thinking, what has Nike done to correct this issue? Yep, they've put more Zoom X in the midsole, so now you're even higher off the floor and you've got less connection. So again, this midsole does feel comfortable, but it feels very unstable when you're running on technical trails. And then we need to talk all about weight, because my pair in a UK 9.5 weighs in at just shy of 340 grams. And again, that's for a shoe that Nike say is ultra responsive and built for race day. And you know, that's just way too heavy for that type of shoe. And you really do start to feel that weight at the end of a longer run. And heaven forbid that that run is in wet conditions, because this upper is like a big old sponge and literally soaks up every drop of water and clings onto it and it won't let it go. So drainage is pretty bad, and it's a real shame because I actually find the upper very comfortable and it gives me that nice sort of hugging midfoot feel, and it's very secure in the heel. But overall, the Zigama Trail 2 is just way too heavy. So once again, Nike have managed to take one step forward by adding Vibram Mega Grip rubber to the outsole, a brilliant move by the brand, super sticky rubber, and we've got a pretty decent lug pattern there as well. So a massive improvement when you compare this to the outsole on the original version. But then they've taken two steps back by the fact that the shoe's just way too heavy, unstable on technical trails, and we have that drainage issue. So I guess I'll just mark it down as another disappointment, and fingers crossed for next time. Now the last trail shoe on my list is a shoe that I really struggled to understand when I tested them out. Whenever I do test and review shoes on the channel, I try and be as fair as possible, because I totally get running shoe choice is very, very subjective, and just because I didn't get on with the shoe doesn't mean it's the worst shoe in the world, and there could be lots of runners out there that really enjoy the fit, feel and performance of that shoe. But I'm really not sure about this one. You know, the number one shoe on my list, I think I would really struggle to find any runners that enjoy the feel, fit and performance, and it is the Kinabalu 3 from Scott Running. So where do I start with this one? Well, let's start with the extremely stiff, rigid midsole and the very firm cushioning levels you got in that midsole. It has to be one of the firmest and stiffest running shoes I've run in, let alone trail running shoes. And you know, that wasn't a good start for the Kinabalu 3. What with the world of running shoe foams getting softer and softer and energy levels getting higher and higher, it really was like I'd jumped in a time machine and travelled back 40 years, and I was running in a trail running shoe from the 1970s. Next on the list of disappointments has to be the weight, because the Kinabalu 3 was a bit of a Goliath. So believe it or not, my pair in a UK 9.5 weighed in at a crazy 360 grams. I mean, come on, that's just way too heavy for a running shoe these days, and it makes the Zigama 2 look like a pair of ballet shoes. And I can only imagine if I was a size 11 or a size 12, I mean, my God, that'd be a heavy shoe. It'd be like you're running in a pair of lead boots. I mean, come on, what was Scott Running thinking? As you can imagine, my first run wasn't great, what with that super stiff firm midsole and the overall weight of the shoe. But I also had quite a few irritation issues. So the ankle collar came up quite high and it was super stiff. So when I was running across the towers on all that uneven ground, that collar kept digging me in the ankle bone. And by the end of the run, it became very, very painful. And all I wanted to do was get back home and get the shoes off my feet. It really is a big shame, because over the years I've actually really got on with some of the Scott trail running shoes, and I've loved the performance and they've worked really well for me. But the Kinabalu 3 is definitely not one of those, and I just can't understand how that shoe made it through the testing and development stage and went into production, because without doubt, it's one of the most uncomfortable and worst performing running shoes I've ever run in. And on that bombshell, it brings us to the end of the video. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm not a massive fan of being negative about stuff on the channel, but I also think it's super important to bring you guys along, to show you all the highs and lows when we're testing out the product, and to be honest about my findings. You know, if I can't be honest, then there's really no point making these reviews. But really hope you enjoyed the video, really hope you found it helpful. If you have, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, so all the good stuff. And it'd be great to hear from you guys. So have you had any sort of disappointing running shoe experiences this year? If you have, let us know all about them in the comments below. But until next time guys, thanks for watching, thanks for supporting. We'll be back here very soon with some positive running content. And as always, stay safe and keep on running. However, there has been a few duds along the way. Now, I'm fully aware that running shoe choice is a very, very personal thing, and what works for me might be, and what doesn't work for me. Just because it hasn't worked for me doesn't mean it's a bad shoe, and there could be runners out there that really enjoy the feel and performance. With it being the more stripped back version of the Strail Fly? What's a Strail Fly?